I'm rereading my favorite book, which is The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Okay.
And have you ever read it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's the story of a family and this man who's a race car driver or wants to be a race car driver, but it's all told through the eyes of his dog.
Oh, yeah, they made a movie about that, right?
They did. And the movie is good. I think it's a pretty good adaptation. It's enjoyable, but the book is phenomenal. It's so good. And I haven't read it in years, and I actually lost my copy because I lent it out. I lent it out so many times that I just got lost, so I had to buy another one. But yeah. So I'm rereading that, and I'm like, oh no, you gotta keep it together.
Yeah, I can honestly say there's very few books that I've reread in my life, just because I'm always looking for something new to check out, and I'm like always like, okay, there's got to be something that I can learn, something that I can experience that's unlike anything that I've ever done before, and so those new books for me are just too tempting to go back and reread anything.
I mean, I'm in the same boat, but there is a comfort to a story that you know and that you love and that's particularly well written.
That makes sense. It's not only books, it's a lot of media. I find it hard to go back and watch again, even if I loved it.
It just depends on the thing for me. I'm with you on certain things I have no desire to revisit.
Okay. Well, I guess we should probably do a proper show this week. We've got tons of notes. We've got a lot of stuff
we do.
to talk about that we want to talk about for a couple weeks at least. So let's hit the ground running. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lex and Matt's Excellent Adventure, the #1 podcast in Chicago and in Florida, because I don't think any other podcast is recorded in both locations. So we win.
You guys can't fact check it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
So that's right. If you do like that feat, if you enjoy that little factoid, go ahead and go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. I'm no pressure, but if you're there reviewing things, why not throw us a little love, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please. That helps us. Subscribing and reviewing. Writing us a review, giving us a review is what helps us on, I always want to say iTunes, but it's not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I do that too. It's too easy. It's just
it was iTunes for so long.
Right.
You're just like stuck with it. But yeah. So before we get too into our notes here, I do want to let everyone know that you can always write into the show, and we have someone who wrote in. So Denise wrote into us.
Cool.
In reference to our discussion where we were saying that like something changes, they make some sort of format change or they do something to a show, and it just never clicks again with you. Yeah. Like you can't recover from it. So we discussed that last week. So Denise was asking if you've seen Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Have you seen that show?
I've watched a couple episodes of it, yeah.
Okay, so one thing she was saying, didn't want to spoil it just in case. Let me make sure I'm not saying. So they made some changes with the law firm, which was something she pointed out. But the big thing that she was saying was replacing Greg, which was something she pointed out. So they replaced one of the main actors on that show with another actor, which is a really good thing to bring up in general, because a couple of shows have done this in the past and it's never the same.
Famously Bewitched, of course.
Right, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is one of the first ones that I think of too.
Yeah, that's a little more modern. That's probably more. Yeah.
Bewitched was probably one of the first ones because it was Darren. Like he was replaced. Right,
and there's some shows that by design work that into their plot. Of course, Doctor Who.
Yeah. Now, Doctor Who, I get why people are like, I don't like this as much, but I always I think it's important to go back and revisit when you don't like the new Doctor or whatever, because you don't know. Sometimes you don't see where it's going from week to week. Go back and rewatch it later and you'll enjoy it more. That's what I did with Capaldi.
Yeah. I still go back and check in every now and then, but I'm not as regular a watcher as I was during the Tennant years, of course. It's just, after 5 years of any show, I feel like you kind of need a break from it. But I don't want to overshadow Denise's point. Please continue.
Yes. So Greg was replaced on that show. And Denise was pointing out that that was a big part of it. They even changed the, she didn't point this out, but like, I know she was thinking of this in the same sense of like, they changed the theme song every season.
Oh, really?
To match it. There's only 4 seasons, but every theme that they pick, like they write a new one they wrote a new one every year and it matches what they're going for that year. Mm-hmm. So that in itself is jarring, like to have your theme song go away.
Right. It's always such a weird balance. I tried out the HBO shows a lot because, certain shows, they're just married to their theme no matter what. Like The Sopranos. Like, that's just how it's going to be. Get used to it. But then other shows, it'd be such a weird, just occurrence when the theme song would change. Like Weeds, of course, we talked about. I think
The Leftovers.
The Leftovers. I was going to bring that up because it did it so just meticulously when they just threw the Perfect Strangers theme on there. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just such a weird vibe. Like, all right, this is going to be an interesting episode. What's happening here? Did somebody put in the wrong tape? And then they just changed
from the first season to the second season. They completely, that's a show actually that we didn't even think of last week that completely revamped their whole show. Yeah. They changed locations. They changed a lot about the show, but it worked really well.
There's certain shows that they change so drastically, they end up rebranding them, but then they kind of like reconnect them in syndication. Like, I think about how a lot of sitcoms in the late 70s and early 80s, they would just cancel the regular show, but then the characters, or at least most of them, would move on and like open up a hotel or a bar or something like that. Like, of course, you had Sanford Arms with Sanford and Son. You had what was the other one? With All in the Family. They had Archie's Place.
Oh, they had a lot of spin-offs of All in the Family.
Yeah. But for some reason, it was always, hey, let's open up this establishment and add. It's almost like adding a new character because like this new location is so integral to the show. And then I didn't realize this one, but apparently, because I've always seen it in syndication where it's just been the last season, Golden Girls tried to have a spin-off.
Yes.
Where they opened a hotel, but it just airs like it's just, all right, this is the next step of the show. This is just what happened.
Yeah, so that's called a backdoor pilot. A lot of times they'll do that when they want to spin off a show. So, for example, there's an episode of Gilmore Girls. Anyone who's seen Gilmore Girls knows that there's one episode of Gilmore Girls where Jess goes to California. Okay? Which, if you haven't watched the show, it doesn't make sense. Whatever. So, and you're like, this feels weird. All of the main characters are gone. Like, you're not visiting any of the Gilmores or anything like that. You're with Jess the whole time. You're introduced to a whole new set of characters. And it was supposed to be called like Wayward something or what, I don't know, something like that. And it served as a backdoor pilot. They were basically trying to see if they could spin off Jess, and it didn't work.
I love
it. And it ended up just becoming an episode of that show, of Gilmore Girls. So if you've ever watched that show and you're like, why is this episode, like, it's not that it's bad, but it's just off from the show.
It has a different feel to it altogether.
Yeah, and if you go back, a lot of older shows did that. Nowadays, they I don't know if I've really seen a backdoor pilot in a show in a while, because most of the time they're just announcing spinoffs and then they're heavily promoting spinoffs. They're investing in them early.
That's true.
Rather than doing that. So, like, Grownish is a spinoff of Blackish. They were already deeply invested in that. They didn't have to, test it out in a pilot.
Well, that was a lot. It was almost identical to how they did A Different World with the Cosby Show.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't know which came first in the case of Titans and Doom Patrol. Because I know there was an episode of Titans where we met the Doom Patrol, and it was a completely different vibe. However, by that point, they'd already announced that the show, the Doom Patrol, was happening. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it was because that episode did so well to the producers, like, oh yeah, we can build a whole series off of this or what. But yeah, there was a lot of star power on there.
Nowadays, I would think that they were already planning it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It could go either way. I wonder if the Flash was, when they brought him on Arrow, if they were fully planning on doing a Flash, because that's almost a backdoor pilot.
I would say that was completely intentional, because they already had Cisco and what's her face already. Caitlin, yeah, as his
Right,
as
but
his
they do that in
sidekicks.
backdoor pilots. Like
Just
they will have like these are they're trying to give you the pilot within the show you're already watching.
mm,
So another example. Okay, one that you've seen. Remember in the last season of The Office, there was that one weird episode where they're on Dwight's farm.
I remember that was
That
supposed
was
to be a thing. Yeah,
that
yeah,
was that was the backdoor pilot as well. So if you've seen The Office, you've seen the one where it's all on Dwight's farm and you're introduced to his siblings. And you're like, who the fuck are these people? That episode that feels off, even though
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, that was a backdoor pilot for
Yeah.
Troop Farms TV show.
It was kind of off because not because of the like the setting or anything like that, but just the fact that they gave Dwight such a happy ending on that episode. You know, things kind of wrapped up with a neat little bow.
Yeah.
Like he didn't get his comeuppance. He wasn't like the villain of the episode or anything. It was just like, all right, huh?
One of my favorite things about that was Dwight when they had when they had the burial. It was like his aunt or whatever was buried.
Yeah.
And they're like, and in true tradition, we have to and like they toss Dwight a shotgun in the open grave, and they make sure to like basically double tap the person in their family who has died.
Yeah, yeah.
And Oscar is like, I'm out, gone, and like runs away.
And that's the end of the crossover. That's our last connection. But it felt like they were trying to treat Dwight, or they made the decision on the show at that point, that they were going to treat him less like just this asshole and more like, you know, it's kind of an Addams Family situation. He's just quirky, you know?
Right.
But there's set
I think
rules
that
in his world.
was an intentional thing that they started doing that last 2 seasons or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if it was just for that or if they just wanted to, wherever they were ending, they wanted it to work out.
Right on.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, thanks to Denise for writing in about that.
Yeah. I mean, this conversation, I love stuff like this. I love analyzing TV tropes and traditions and that sort of thing. So it's just always such a rich tapestry of conversation to pull from. So yeah, thanks, Denise.
Yeah, thanks. And I actually didn't ask Denise if she still recommends the show. I would still recommend Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I would. Particularly for like the way that it spoke about mental health issues. I think that it did a really good job, and I think it's worth watching. Plus it's 4 seasons, and it's done. Like, the show is done. So you can watch the complete story. You know, it wasn't canceled or anything. They intentionally ended it. They did 4 seasons that they planned from the start.
I wonder what streaming service it'll end up on.
That's a great question, but as of now, it's on Netflix.
It'll be on Peacock, because that's where Tina Fey went. I don't know.
At least Peacock is free.
Free-ish, yeah. I mean, you're still paying with your eyeballs.
It's free with ads, but like that's more than half of these other services.
That's true.
It's the first one, I think, other than Hulu back in the day, that I've seen that's just doing free with ads.
I miss old Hulu. You know?
Yeah.
Man. Before all the money. Yeah.
Disney.
All right. So, without further ado, let's get into our show notes here. Let's get into the nitty gritty, as I used to say on HQ. Whatever happened to that? Anyway, nope.
I don't know what that is.
Not even segueing. We're doing this.
It's okay. I don't know what it is.
Okay. All right. So, first order of business, Kanye. Kanye West, former ? Presidential candidate, had a.
He hasn't qualified to get on any ballots, so he's just running to promote an album, I'm assuming.
Yeah, maybe. So
he announced an album, right? Didn't he just announce an album?
You're getting way ahead of the game here.
I'm sorry.
But yes, he did announce an album. He announced Donda, which is the 10-track album, I guess, with lots of different songs on there that he had time to write between campaign speeches. I wish he spent a little bit more time on the campaign, on the presidential rally speech, because wow, that was a whole thing. This man decided to say several things that you would think were more in place in somebody doing a parody of him, such as Harriet Tubman didn't free any slaves.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a thing.
I feel like this is a very very tricky subject for me to navigate.
I mean, I
feel like I got to put on my listening cap, friends.
I don't. Okay, all right. So here's the thing.
I'm kidding.
No, yeah. I know, because it's just like, all right. So it's an obvious thing. It's like, all right, in his world, yes, it would be a tricky thing to navigate because it's up for discussion. In the real world, it's not up for discussion. She did free a lot of slaves.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm saying my criticism of Kanye is.
Oh yeah.
I am navigating these waters quite carefully, friends. Because, yeah. Okay. So yeah, Harriet Tubman. I didn't even want to. He's so nuts. Jesus.
It's nutty. It's so nutty. Like, all right, to preface it with, I don't find any joy in the fact that we're watching a man have who has various mental issues, just spout out on stage like that. But man, like, it's important to focus on this for a moment, at least, just to like put a spotlight on, hey, this is not okay. Somebody in his camp / his family should have stopped this from happening before it got this far.
Yeah, that, and also he doesn't get a fucking free pass just because he has mental health issues.
He doesn't. This is the sort of thing.
Like, that has been a thing that I've seen a lot of people, like, so I've seen a lot of people going, hey, we shouldn't make fun of him because he does have mental health issues. I understand that. And I think that's a valid argument where people are like, hey, you talk about, you all talk about all the time how we need to, reduce the stigma and this and that. And then you make fun of him. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's true. That's true. I won't deny that. You're also responsible when you have issues. Like, I don't have, he's probably got borderline personality or something going on. I don't have that. But, I have anxiety and depression and stuff. I'm still responsible for the things that I say and do.
Yeah. Like, somebody pointed out.
To take my medicine, like to make sure that my anxiety and depression is in check, things like that.
Right. And not just the Harriet Tubman thing by itself, but he also said something to the effect of, he started going over his campaign strategy by saying everybody that has a baby should get $1 million, which, how is that even possible?
I don't know. That seems like that's some creepy Handmaid's Tale shit to me.
Yeah, because then that's a whole different rabbit hole.
Yeah, but it seems like just there's something about that creeps me out.
He was very insistent that people didn't laugh or clap during this whole event.
No eye contact.
No eye contact. There was a lot of there you go. There was a lot of creepy moments too. Like, for instance, he goes there's a young white lady that called him out on something that he said, and he invited her up and gave her a hug and said, I love you, and was like, hey, I just want you to know, I deserve to be called out if I say anything out of pocket. If I mess up, I deserve to get called out. This young lady is brave and everything. And of course, the audience was behind that whole moment. But then later on in the event, a young black lady spoke up about something he said, and he flipped out. It was just like, we don't even know who you are. You have on a mask. And she took off the mask, and she's like, I'm just some person, but I'm telling you what you're saying is wrong. And then he stormed off the stage like a baby, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, the white woman in that, let me step up to the plate for this one, which I can accurately speak about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're going to get called out either way. You don't need to make a big thing of it. You don't need to perform and be like, you guys can call me out so that you can get, like, your little claps and cheers and shit.
Yeah.
Just do the work. Keep your head down.
Do the work. I mean, if there's anything we can learn from the current guys, you're going to get criticized no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Well, I should say the last two guys, because love them or hate them, either one of them, they got called out for every single thing they did. And yeah, a lot of that was hypocritical. Like, Mitch McConnell parading around in a tan-colored suit now like it's no big deal.
I saw that. What the fuck, man?
Yeah. All of a sudden it's okay. And
I feel like he just like, man, he just fully embraced like the Southern plantation owner role in that. Like,
he misses those days.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's like, let's bring it back. Let's do it. That's what it felt like to me.
He wishes he was in a land of cotton. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a Twitter user, Yolo Akili, that said something that kind of summed up how I feel about the whole Kanye thing, so we can move on. He goes, a reminder.
As long as you want.
He goes, just a reminder that mania and psychosis as symptoms do not equate or come hand in hand with white supremacist beliefs or misogynoir. Them different things, y'all. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Misogynoir, that I'm assuming that means sexism towards black women.
Misogyny towards black women, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it seems to be even more prevalent, of course, in certain circles. There's white feminism and there's feminism.
About that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been like reading about this right now and seeing these discussions happening, talking about violence and towards black women, and black women talking about violence from black men towards black women, and that is not other than supporting women and especially victims and everything like that. That's not something I can speak to. Like we've talked about in the past, there are things you can address and whatever, but like listening in this conversation, it's like, wow, it's very intense. And I commend all of the women speaking up right now, because I can imagine that's very difficult, because you're put in a bind. Like you're either neglecting the movement for women to be more free and to protect black women, or what, you're going against the black movement, like the movement to end white supremacy. Like that's just such a shitty position to be in. Like I'd imagine it's it's like a lose-lose.
Yeah. I don't subscribe to the idea, and you know this, and everybody who's listening knows this, but just to lay it out flat and plain.
Yeah.
Just the idea that if you're struggling, if you're going through something, any type of hardship, that you harden your heart towards those that are suffering from other issues. Like just the fact that I'm seeing all the racism in the world doesn't mean that I have to be anti-Semitic or, against LGBTQ or homophobic or just subscribing to misogynistic ideals and stuff like that. You push these people away. You push other people away that are going through some type of issue that you can find a lot of similarity with to your problem. You're pushing away allies. And that's not how that's not how we're not going to be successful if we do it that way.
I completely agree. Yeah.
If we don't come from a place of compassion, then what's the fucking point?
Right. If you're not growing as a person and trying to help others, especially people who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
Whether you're vulnerable yourself or not, then what is the point? What's the point?
It makes me so angry, the pissing contest of who's got it worse. It's like, it's bad. Let's work together to make it better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that like, I don't know, Matt, let's discuss it. What's worse? I am a lesbian white woman. You are a straight black man.
Yes.
What's worse? Let's play the game where nobody wins.
Let's alienate all our listeners and their families.
Yeah.
No, it's just, it's love. It should be love.
Yeah. And Kanye, just to finish off the Kanye thing, he's now talking about how they're going to institutionalize him, right?
Yeah, the word going around, what he tweeted out, was that his wife was coming to collect him with a doctor in order to institutionalize him. So he warded that off. He claimed that he couldn't get in contact with his people or his family. But the latest that I saw in the whole situation is that Dave Chappelle actually flew out from Ohio to go and check on him, make sure he was okay.
Okay.
They've been friends for a long time, but
okay.
Yeah, he just literally just went out to go have a cup of coffee with Kanye, and Kanye turned it into a whole publicity thing and put it on Twitter. But it's. Is
that what he needs right now, though? Like,
I mean, I feel like the man. He should. Okay.
I think that all of them should be trying to get him into some place to get help.
And I think that's ultimately what Dave was trying to do.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
yeah. And I'm not heavily criticizing him because I don't know what his goal here. His goal might have been, I'm going to go out there, have a cup of coffee with him, and try to convince him to go voluntarily.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the most realistic thing here. You know, not knowing either one of these parties, but knowing their work and knowing how outspoken they've been, and knowing the way that Dave Chappelle expresses his love and his admiration to people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he went out there to go talk to his brother. He didn't just go, "Hey man, you're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing." Because
that's true.
Even in the video, he wasn't like on. Like they kept trying to get him to say something funny, and he was like, "Man, I'm just here. I'm just chilling."
Yeah. No, so, I retract that. I was more questioning it than, but it did come across as criticism. So I'm glad that he was there to try to support and help his friend. But I don't like the harm that Kanye is causing right now.
Right. I feel bad for
because he's
people that love him.
He's anti-choice and like the things he was saying. I briefly saw some of that rally. And the things he was saying about abortion and everything, I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. There's and we've discussed this previously before, and I'll end it here because I'm.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, like he's got a sect of people that apologize for him and explain things, saying what he meant to say was blank, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need another instance of somebody like that. We just don't.
Yeah.
This is how we get in trouble. If our leaders can't speak for themselves, you know, whether it be because of some issue or something like that, we don't need that person representing our country on the world stage where they don't want to hear explanations. They want to hear it from the person themselves, you know? Yeah,
we should even be very careful with using the term leader.
That's true.
I mean, at this point, he's not going to appear on these ballots that are important, it seems, because he doesn't even get the signatures. Like, he didn't get the 10,000 signatures he needs to get on the South Carolina ballot, I think was what I was reading. So, or it might have been North Carolina. So he's more of a write-in risk, I think, than anything.
Yeah. Whether you believe he's going to take votes away from one or the other, it's still a distraction.
Yeah.
And I admire Oprah so much for using her platform to promote who she thought would benefit the country in the long run. Instead of taking everybody's advice, people were begging for her to run for office. You know?
Oh, I think she fully understands that that's not for her.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that more people need to understand that. Like, you know, we all feel very strongly about what we're seeing right now. But when it comes to a full-time job, you know, actually putting pen to paper, actually doing the work, you know, having a great idea doesn't always mean you're the best person to do that. Maybe you should support someone who actually is putting in the work.
Yeah, I think we kind of need to go back to the idea of it's the job that you take out of duty, not one that you actually want.
Right, not the popularity contest.
Some people are a little bit too eager to be president. I think that it should kind of be the thing that this baton you accept rather than one that you're trying to desperately get.
Right.
But maybe this all, like, the recent presidencies will kind of change that.
Man, I have a vested interest in what happens next.
No shit, we all do.
Yeah.
The world is falling apart.
It is. So that's our Kanye segment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to some other happier news. Chance the Snapper.
Our favorite alligator.
Our favorite alligator. He's living happily, living his best life in Florida 1 year after stealing Chicago's heart, according to this article from Block Club Chicago.
Oh my God, it's been a year?
I know.
That's crazy.
People are still asking about him nonstop, says Frank Alligator Robb, who snared the wayward gator. There's so much love for the little fella, but he's not exactly a little fella anymore. They grow up so fast.
Pictures? I need to look. Was he a baby?
Yeah, he was just a little baby. He got too big for somebody's apartment, but yeah, he's just a little baby.
Oh, Chance the Snapper is so cute.
He's still tiny. He's not like, big, but he's still,
I wonder if that's the size he's going to stay now.
I wonder. That'd be kind of cool. Like,
he measured 4 feet long when he was caught.
So now they've got him at St. Augustine Alligator Farm in St. Augustine, Florida. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that was able to happen. That was like one of the last feel-good stories to really come out of Chicago.
Yeah.
We got our first openly gay mayor, so that was cool. But everybody got on the same page with Chance the Snapper.
Yeah, we have our first openly gay mayor as well.
Cool.
In Tampa.
She
cool. But yeah, I agree. Like, it's kind of like, all right, what are the good stories? Chance the Snapper.
There you go. All right, here, let's dip into this real quick. So this is one of our favorite games, one of those you can only keep 2 or one gotta go sort of things. In this case, you can only keep 2. Movie edition.
I saw this on Twitter.
Okay.
So, the list of movies that you can only keep 2 of these movies. All right?
All right.
Number 1, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Number 2, The Goonies. Number 3, The Neverending Story. Number 4, Dirty Dancing. Number 5, Beetlejuice. Number 6, Labyrinth, the David Bowie Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Number 7, My Girl. Number 8, The Princess Bride.
Man, there's some hard choices in here.
It's mostly 80s wonderful movies.
Shoot. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this one here because there are a couple of movies in here that I just love. But then there's a couple
you can watch again and again.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I think. All right. What's your bottom one? Like, what's the one that you say this isn't even a contention for you?
Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror. Okay.
Yeah. Or I guess Labyrinth too. I don't really care. I didn't grow up with that movie. And Rocky Horror, I like. I think it's cool that there's a whole culture around it, but I don't 100% get it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Funny story about Rocky Horror Picture Show. So, like, just kind of related, but not really. I went to go see some friends perform a live version of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I took a cab to get there after work because Dee was coming from her job and I was coming from mine, and it was just like in the middle. We weren't married at the time,
right?
And I got out the cab, and it was around Halloween, so this group of dudes, just straight up egged the taxi after I got out. Ooh. Thankfully, I didn't get hit or anything like that, but they all had bikes and they all just rode away as fast as they could.
Holy crap.
So the dude in the taxi gets out, and I think he's just going to like look at, the damage or whatever, make sure his cab's okay. He pops his trunk, and before I know it, he pulls like a crutch out of this trunk, just a full crutch. And he starts like coming at me, and he's kind of got a little bit of a hobble, and he's coming at me. He's like, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" And I'm like, "Whoa. I didn't throw the eggs, man. Look at me. Like,
holy shit.
I would have ran with the rest of them, and I've got nothing on me. Like, I had no bag or anything,
Right.
I'm like, what did I carry the eggs in? Where's the evidence? And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, what a weird, why would you think I did that? Anyway.
Also, way to get your crutch out.
Yeah.
For this. Oh, shit. He's like, I need a weapon right now.
I mean, he's just straight up like, bam, I'm ready to go. Let's fight. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And he was a shorter dude too. It's like I didn't feel threatened by him. That's like I didn't
still
back up.
Like a tense moment.
It is a little nerve wracking. Yeah. Just like I was more like focused on I don't want to be blamed for this than anything. Like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you, but come on. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. So anyway, my bottom one would be Dirty Dancing.
Fuck you. Yeah. That's one of my two. I'm keeping.
All right.
I love Dirty Dancing. I can watch that movie so many times. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
deeply upset.
I think I've seen it once all the way through.
Oh, so good. I love it. I love it.
All right. So, what are your...
What's one of yours?
One of mine. I'm going to go with The Princess Bride.
Yeah, that'd be my other one.
God darn it, man. I didn't know what I was getting into when I watched that movie, but man, am I glad I watched that movie.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It really is.
There's not a single thing wrong with that movie.
I mean, it had everything that I could possibly want in a movie. The title kind of put me off a little bit, just like Young Fred Savage. But once I got into it, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a perfect story. It even had Andre the Giant. You know, you can't go wrong.
When did you watch this for the first time?
It must have been like fresh out on VHS.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I was at my grandmother's house, and it was me and my cousin, my god sister, and like, you know, I always watched girl stuff with her because she was older, and so I knew I didn't really have a choice. It was either watch this with her or go find a book. So,
oh man, I remember those nights. But like, my cousin would babysit me. My old cousin, teenage cousin, would babysit me. So like, that's how I watched like Love and Basketball for the first time.
Nice.
Like those type of movies where you're like, oh my God, is it like this is the best? Anyway.
And it didn't stop just when we were kids. We were older too. It was kind of the same thing. It was like I would have to go over their place during the summer because I wasn't like in any summer programs and like, you know, having asthma. I couldn't go to camp or nothing. So I'd go over there and it was like, what movie are we watching today? Oh, we rented Poetic Justice starring Janet Jackson. Okay, I guess we're watching that.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But like as a kid, it was all Gem and the Holograms. It was Rainbow Bright. I know way too much about Rainbow Bright, man. And then Princess Bride. She was like, yes, we're going to watch this. Well, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I came around just like a young Fred Savage. So it was like I was in the movie. It was kind of cool.
You're like, okay, I guess they can kiss. Like,
I forget what came out first. This had to come out before Robin Hood Men in Tights, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by that point, Carrie Ellis was just kind of like chilling, and I saw.
I'm pretty sure Princess Bride was what broke him as an actor. Like, it was in the 80s. I think it was like 86. And then Robin Hood was in the 90s.
Yeah. So it was just like, oh, he's back. He's playing this character again. Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so I was down. But yeah, Princess Bride is one of those I could just watch over and over. So this is the one you're picking as well for your first one?
Yeah. Those would be my top two, Dirty Dancing and Princess Bride. I could watch those movies again and again. And I would be very happy. Just real quick, Princess Bride came out in 87. Robin Hood Men in Tights was 93.
Oh, wow. So there was a long gap in between there. Okay.
Yes. And you look at his movies, Princess Bride was definitely his breakthrough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like his top three movies were the ones we've mentioned and then Saw, like the first Saw film. That's probably it.
Did you ever see The Crush? That was good.
I never saw. Oh, you know what? I remember that, but I never saw it.
Oh, shit. That movie's fucked up. Yeah. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. He's got that look on his face, too. Like, he's either real just, like, smooth or he's just an asshole.
He's playing a guy my age, and Alicia Silverstone is 14.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole thing.
They used to make movies like that all the time.
They did, man. They made so many of those movies.
It's like
it wasn't like... It was kind of like a Fatal Attraction. But which, by the way... You root for you end up rooting for the quote unquote villain of the movie,
right?
Like, oh, this woman is trying to ruin this man's life. I'm like, bitch, you deserve it. Like,
yeah, just like Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence. It's like, no, he was the asshole. He's not the star of this film.
Fuck you, die.
Why Do Fools Fall in Love? Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the they used to make a lot of those. I remember that movie being interesting though. I don't think it would hold up, but yeah.
Which one?
The Crush. The Crush.
Yeah.
And they made a sequel, and I think Mila Kunis was in it, but I never saw that one.
Mila Kunis just comes in the clutch when it's a sequel and the original cast doesn't want to come back.
Yeah.
She did that for American Psycho as well.
Oh shit, is that what I'm thinking of? What? Who was in the Crush 2? Now I gotta look it up.
Now we gotta look it up.
Alright, what's your second one?
My second film. This is a tough choice for me because I love Beetlejuice. You know, I'm a Muppet guy, so Labyrinth was in there, you know. Goonies, that's a classic.
I know. It's a tough one.
Never-ending Story helped me to realize my fantasy of just going into an attic and just reading a book all day instead of going to class. Mm-hmm. Like, that is legit a fantasy of mine, just to go and fucking read all day. And it's because of that film.
Right.
I guess I gotta give it to Goonies.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's such a good solid film.
That's another one you could just turn on and enjoy it.
Soundtrack was great. I mean, it is the epitome of the 80s vibe. It's got Cyndi Lauper on the soundtrack singing the title track. It's great. It's great.
Okay. I think that I have invented the Crush 2 in my brain, confusing it. I blame this on quarantine, obviously. Everything bad that happens this year is blamed on quarantine. I think I was thinking of Poison Ivy with Drew Barrymore.
Oh, no.
I have no idea why. This is very weird. This is kind of freaking me out that I thought there was a sequel to this movie, and I can't find it.
Poison Ivy, I know. They kept making sequels to that movie.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Let's look.
There were at least 2 sequels to that movie.
Let's see. Poison. Man, there are a lot of sequels. What the fuck? Why are there so many sequels? One of them has Jamie Priestley in it.
Oh, yeah. From My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, my God. What is this? Why are there so many of these? What the fuck?
Just something about older guys creeping on younger girls.
Now I gotta... And now I'm like, was it Mila Kunis? Was it just that I'm thinking of?
Just
the sequel. What was the movie that you said?
American Psycho?
Yeah, now I'm thinking, I literally was just thinking, I think I was just thinking of American Psycho. Which is awful.
Wait,
she was in Aerosmith's Jaded? I didn't know that. All right, we are definitely off the rails here.
We have veered aggressively off topic right now.
Yes, that is the movie that I'm thinking of. I think I'm thinking of American Psycho 2, which is not related to this at all.
American Psycho 2, the new batch.
Yeah, I can't explain why my brain did that other than I'm not explaining anything to you. I don't know, you should.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck him.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Alyssa Milano was in one of these Poison Ivy sequels, though, as was Jamie Priestley.
Yep.
And that is shocking.
That is all of note.
Sworn there was a sequel to The Crush, but whatever.
You need to write this. Crush 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I am never, ever writing this.
Crush 2, Crush Strikes Back. Crush 2, Crush Harder.
We're in the bad place. This is the bad place.
Crushing the boys.
With the Z. Boys with the Z.
Yes. Special shout out to My Girl. Like that, they didn't get much love in our polls, but it was a good movie, you know?
I think that's a very important movie for, like, a lot of girls. Like, that was a really big deal for me, that movie. Because it dealt with her getting her period for the first time. It was, the first loss. She didn't have a mother. There was just a lot going on with that movie. That was really...
Yeah, it was a lot. You know, this is a list of good movies and Dirty Dancing. But it was a list of good movies.
Bitch.
Beetlejuice, that sequel stuck in production hell. I hope it never gets made.
Oh, a sequel?
Yeah, because
they're not making a sequel.
They've been talking about it since the first one came out. The sequel was going to have him go to Hawaii for some reason.
Oh, why? Well, because of the 80s.
Yeah. It's like, please don't do that. No.
I don't want any sequel to that
No.
movie.
I'm glad they didn't try to go back and capitalize on the Goonies again.
That I could see working if they did it right.
Yeah, I think it's too long now, obviously.
I
It's
don't
been
know
too long now.
how. Well, they would
Yeah,
have to be parents. The kids would have to be the parents.
they would have to be.
Yeah.
What was the kid's name? Gadget or whatever?
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Yeah, and I'm done guessing because
Chunk's name, and
I
it's
don't
'cause
want to
it's
say
Chunk.
anything out of pocket. So, yeah.
I only remember the truffle shuffle Chunk, his name.
Oh,
That's
it was Data. That was his name.
Data. Yeah.
Yeah. They would have to like rework that whole character. Because shit.
Yeah. God damn, 80s movies. I really love 80s movies, but fuck, they were racist against Asian people in particular.
Man, and he's a two-time offender. Well, I shouldn't say him, but
No. The films he's in.
the films he's in. Yeah, Steven Spielberg is a two-time offender here.
Oh, way more than 2 times.
Like, that's the only thing. Okay, all right. So if they're going to do another Indiana Jones film, I would want them to bring back Short Round and have him be the villain. Specifically because Indy used to just, like, take advantage of him in these films and just treat him like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And him getting his revenge on Indy. That's what I would want to see.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because, I mean, this was like his de facto son in the films, and then we just forgot about him? Because Shia LaBeouf showed up? Hell no. He kills off Shia LaBeouf, and he goes, now you know what I felt like when you killed our friendship. And then he just, like, hunts him for the rest of the movie, and it ends with, like, Indy having to sacrifice himself so Short Round can live, and that's the end of the franchise, because please stop it already.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I'm one of those people, now I haven't seen the newest Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull, since it came out in theaters. I didn't hate it when I watched it in theaters. I will say that I can have very questionable tastes and blind spots. So I fully admit that. Like, remember when War of the Worlds came out? Like, how people were like, whatever about it. I thought that movie was fucking brilliant. I saw it twice in theaters.
Was that the one with Keanu as the robot?
No. War of the Worlds was with Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg directed it.
Yeah, I'm thinking of The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh, no. That was different. I didn't like that movie. No, so I thought War of the Worlds, which Spielberg directed, and that was one of the last movies he directed that I really loved. Like, just fell in love with. What I thought was so brilliant about War of the Worlds was how it was basically like, there's not a great way to say this, but like it was a perfect post 9/11 film.
Mm-hmm.
And they specifically were invoking like 9/11 imagery and everything like that. Like, people turned to dust, like, from getting hit with like these alien rays and everything like that. And they literally have like Tom Cruise go into a mirror and he sees himself. He sees its human remains on him, and he's like shaking off the dust, and it's invoking that 9/11, imagery. And the whole movie is about survival and like it messing with your brain and like recruitment into military, and like it's a really interesting movie that I think more people should have like watched. Really, I mean, it made a lot of money, but I don't think people loved it as much as I did.
It kind of got lost in the shuffle. With all the other stuff that was coming out around that time. Like you said,
that was some good movies were coming, because that was like 2005, I think.
Yeah, but like you said, it was post 9/11, and people were, I think, still just kind of in the mode of, all right, we're just going to keep on consuming this fantasy media until we can just like shake it off a little bit and move on. It
was also when Tom Cruise went absolutely bananas.
That's true.
That did not help.
The Tom Cruisiness overshadowed everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 2005. Yeah, was when it came out.
I just wish Spielberg would bring back Freakazoid, but I know I'm kind of in the minority here. Anyway, so yeah.
God, I really want to see his West Side Story, but that movie is completely fucked now. I don't know what they're going to do, because between the theatrical release being messed up because of the virus And the fact that, I mean, I think they need to go back and reshoot the movie.
Wow.
Well, the actor who plays Tony is Ansel Elgort or whatever. Elgort.
Right. We still don't know what type of, and I think that this is why we're still in a holding pattern, because we don't know what type of price he's going to pay, what the reaction is going to be. You know,
I'm worried that it's going to be buried and that it is already, because that was over a month ago and no one's talking about it.
Backlash was the word I was looking for. We want to see what type of backlash he's going to face. Yes.
Yeah. I'm worried that it is going to completely disappear because of how crazy everything is right now.
Man, stuff like that.
This movie has so many young actors that deserve to have not have the shadow over it of him being in it. It's supposed to come out in December of this year.
It doesn't happen often when a movie just completely gets buried like you're describing, but when it happens, it's just like, wow, Hollywood is still kind of fragile when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think they should just, I don't know. I think it's going to be delayed anyway.
Yeah.
But man, how do you reshoot that big of a movie?
Well, you heard Tenet got pushed back, finally.
Tenet did get pushed back, but that's because I guess that movie cost so much that it has to. I was reading, I can't remember how much they were saying it has to net for it to be profitable. The budget is $200 to $225 million.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to make close to $1 billion to make their money back.
They always gamble on Christopher Nolan. It's usually a safe bet. But the way that he makes movies, the way that he directs and produces, he's romantic in the way that he demands that his movies are seen on the big screen. So I think it's a combination of just wanting to make sure that they get as much bang for their buck as they can, and of course him insisting that people see it in theaters and not at home for the first impression.
I don't want to see it at home. I want to see it in a theater, and I want to feel safe seeing it in a theater. So I would rather they push it back to fucking January or something. And just do that. So apparently, because of the budget of the movie and how much money they've spent, because you have to remember the budget itself might be $225 million, but they're spending a lot of money on advertising. It's going to apparently need to make $800 million.
Holy beans. That's a lot of money.
Because according to IndieWire, it's saying that Warner Brothers has poured around $400 million into production and marketing. To make so they have their bare minimum and then profiting. So it's basically, it's going to have to be almost $1 billion movie to make money. They can't do that on a home release, and that's not what he wants. So yeah, I'm glad they've put it on hold. They need to. I want to be hopeful and say that, we'll have a vaccine in the fall and be able to go see it in theaters.
I've heard some very encouraging things, without delving too deep into that. People, please do your own research. Go to trusted news sites when it comes to trusting information about vaccines, about this virus. By all means, don't believe what you hear on a comedy podcast, because
but look into if you want to look into it further, the one that I'm the most interested in is the Oxford vaccine, because they're building it off of a vaccine, a SARS vaccine that they already know is safe.
Yeah.
So that is, I'm very skeptical of how fast they can put out a vaccine from these other companies that are starting from scratch essentially. But if you're working off of something that you already know is safe and you're basically building off of that, I feel much better about something like that. And they're getting good results. So you can read into that. It's Oxford's vaccine.
Nice. Hopefully it pans out. And remember, if it does pan out, you heard it here first on Lex and Matt's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Science, bitch.
Man, I was gonna use the Princess Bride thing in that last bit to segue into the Wonder Years story, but fuck that. Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Wonder Years reboot happening with a black family. It's in the works at ABC.
You said that with
I did.
a lot of enthusiasm.
There was so much enthusiasm. ABC.
It's well established that I love the Wonder Years on this podcast, correct? Or is that just something that you and I discussed privately?
It's also established that I love the black people. So all that being said,
yeah, you're a fan.
I am a fan. So all that being said, this is going to be produced by Lee Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those that don't know who Lee Daniels is, he's the producer that bought us, the director that bought us 12 Years a Slave, and the producer that bought us the Empire series over at Fox.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm on the fence about this.
That's understandable.
Yeah. So ABC, they do have a good history as of late, as far as like depicting positive images of black people on television. Mm-hmm. So I'm encouraged by that. You know, as much as I'm not a fan of Anthony Anderson and Blackish and everything like that, it does very well. And I talk to a lot of people that do enjoy the show, and they like it for reasons that are encouraging and positive, and that's great. Tracy Ellis Ross
is not the reason to watch that show. Tracy Ellis Ross is the reason to watch that show.
100%. Yeah. She's why I watch Girlfriends on UPN. Mm-hmm. She's very talented individual. So Lee Daniels is heading this, but I also see that Fred Savage is coming back to direct the pilot and executive produce. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So it is going to be set in the 60s then?
It says it's going to be set. Yeah, it's going to be in the same era.
That is rough.
But I'm sorry, when you were starting to talk about it earlier, I kind of took it and ran with it. You are a big fan of the Wonder Years, famously. You've talked about it on the show several times in the past.
That's what I couldn't remember if I've talked about it on the show as much.
Absolutely.
Because we've talked about it together. So this is a problem that I have of what did we talk about in private and what did we talk about on the show?
Well, I think, just because when we do the best shows of all time lists and everything.
Yeah.
And, of course, I remember an episode very early on in the show that you were just talking about how it's almost impossible to get that show in syndication and on DVD because of the music rights. Yeah.
Now, it's on DVD now, and it is streaming now, although if you want the original music, you have to buy the DVDs. With the exception of the Doors. They didn't get the Doors. The remaining members of the Doors are assholes. And wouldn't give them the music, so they had to change that music. But it's just like a couple of songs. I think it was like less than 10 songs total, the entire series, which is crazy. So yeah, if you want those original songs, you have to buy the DVDs. But I love that show. I really do. But it's... You can't, even calling it the Wonder Years,
right?
It's a totally different show. That the Wonder Years was about Wonder Bread, like white suburban, peak privilege. These kids that were born to parents who were from that greatest generation, basically.
Right.
And grew up in, with the white picket fence. And
they were the nuclear family.
Yeah. They were, and they had problems and turbulent stuff, and they addressed that on the show, and they dealt with Vietnam. In the pilot episode, Winnie Cooper's brother is killed, and that changes the entire, that's the catalyst for everything. It's the first person that's not old that dies. That is what that pilot episode is all about. And it's about, then he has his first kiss with Winnie Cooper. So it's him entering young adulthood is the way that the show starts. And the show ends with him leaving that era of his life.
Yes.
So, I'm not saying it can't work. With the right writers, it can. But I think it's going to be really difficult, and I think that calling it the Wonder Years, they might have to come up with it. I don't know how you use the same name, because the whole, he calls it the Wonder Years because he's like, I still look back and I wonder. Mm-hmm. I look back at it in wonder, and you look back on it fondly. I don't think, black families would look back on the late 1960s fondly.
You know, that's a very good observation. But there are, of course, black families that made it through that era and still do look back fondly on certain instances, on certain things that happened to them. It's also brave to set this in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're really stacking the deck against this family already. Like, oh shit, okay. Black family, 1960s, Montgomery, Alabama. What SNL comes to mind, which is a perfect fit for them because they have a musical guest every episode.
Yeah, SNL was always tried to be that, like, we're giving you everything. We're making you laugh. We're finding this cool music. That was what, they wanted to be a show for teenagers and early 20s.
Right. You started talking about that in-show promotion, and man, those were fucking wild times on NBC. I just remember, oh
Subway.
God, yo, Subway. It was so ham-fisted,
Subway,
but I love
on
the fact
Chuck and on Community.
Yeah, Community leaned into it. Chuck did too. Come to think of it,
Chuck was really bad. I remember it being very, very obvious on Chuck.
Right, because they worked at a Subway.
Hilarious because they had a character named Subway.
Right. And of course the KFC episode where they had to get into the finger licking van and save the world or something.
Yeah.
Cougar Town did it too. It was a little more on the nose for them. Mm-hmm. They didn't really have fun with it, but they did have Abed in the background, which is a great little Easter egg.
30 Rock with Wade Boggs' Carpet World.
Yeah, like the shows that were self-aware, that were able to put that stuff in there, they did a great job of weaving it in. Just like, look, we have to get through this, guys. Let's just get it over with and just move on. So that was
I felt like cool. Community and 30 Rock were the best at those meta jokes.
Yeah. So much so, I think that's why they used 30 Rock for their hour-long Peacock debut special on NBC last week.
I still haven't watched it. I don't even know if it's streaming.
I'm going to give you an ample warning and say you're probably going to be disappointed in it, but
I have no expectations, so
okay.
I won't be, because I know it's just an upfront. Like it's not. There's no substance to it.
It is an upfront, and I didn't realize that going in. I'm like, oh, we're just going to go back and revisit. It's like a reunion,
No, I'm sorry. Not. I should have warned everyone. Yeah, guys, it's just an upfront. For those who don't know, an upfront is just a preview of shows that they're coming out with, and they usually have like a convention type of thing where all of the actors go and get interviewed and everything like that to promote their show. So, they'll do it every year. They'll have upfronts.
Yeah. They used to do it. They used to show them on TV on like Sunday afternoon sometimes too. Yeah. Like when there was like a rain out for golf or something like that.
Right.
But I've never seen one.
Not top tier content. It is industry, like inside baseball shit.
Yeah. Like I've never seen one on primetime, which is a weird thing. Because
there's nothing. We have nothing to offer right now.
Best time to start a streaming service. We've got nothing going on. Take some old episodes of 30 Rock.
Animated shows, though, man. Animated shows are going to take off soon.
In a big, bad way. Yeah.
Like, they're going to become even bigger than they are. Adult animation, like, in particular. Because they can safely make it.
Man. I'm excited that you put this story in our notes, too, because...
Speaking of animation,
it's a character that I've loved since the first time I saw him on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the 80s. Shout out to Turtle Soup. Like, I was such a big fan of this character. I wanted him to get his own show then and there. And that character is everybody's favorite samurai rabbit, Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, I want to see this.
Man, such a badass. Like, I don't know what it is.
Netflix is making it, by the way, just the story. Netflix is making an animated Usagi Yojimbo TV show.
Yep. They don't trust us with the name, though, so they call it Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rough name. I can understand why they...
Yeah, every time something puts Chronicles in the name of it, I think of the Goliath Chronicles, that Gargoyles continuation.
I think of Chronicles of Riddick.
Ooh.
Yeah, my mind is not going to good places.
No, mine wasn't either, because that continuation wasn't the best. But
no,
you know,
it was not, and I never even saw it. And yet, that is the thing that I think of.
Oh man! So what's great is Stan Sakai is going to be involved, and he's the creator.
I did not know he was still alive. I feel bad.
No, I mean, you know, a lot of these old creators are gone, so it's completely understandable. But it's cool that he's involved because he's got such love for the industry, love for the character. Yeah, and it would be a big miss if the Ninja Turtles didn't show up in this show in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, they'd have to get the rights, though.
That's true.
That's
but I mean,
a whole
Netflix,
separate issue. I think Nickelodeon has the rights, right?
They do. But Netflix and Nickelodeon are playing ball right now.
Are they?
Yeah, they had the Rocko's Modern Life special.
Oh, and now they have Korra is coming.
Yeah, Korra's coming next week to the service. They've had Avatar: The Last Airbender on the service.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that. I just saw something pop up in my feed today, and I was like, I need to rewatch that, and then finish Korra. I never finished Korra.
Netflix and Nickelodeon are co-producing a live action Avatar Aang stories, so that should be good. It'll be better than the other live action one that we don't talk about. And they even aired that Invader Zim special last year that came out.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was good. It was actually really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're right. I've forgotten about this. Yeah, so I could see that happening. The Ninja Turtles popping up on Usagi Chronicles is what
we shall. Yeah, that's going to take some time to get used to.
Usagi Chronicles of Riddick. We named the episode.
I love it. That is excellent. I didn't realize though that Sucker Punch was inspired by Usagi Yojimbo as one of the main reasons to make the Ghost of Tsushima game that just came out.
I did not know that either. I thought they were mainly inspired by Seven Samurai.
Yeah, I mean, the game's definitely got like a real solo vibe to it, so that's cool. You know, I like Sucker Punch games. I love the Infamous series, Sly Cooper, all that stuff. Everything they've done, I've pretty much enjoyed. But this game, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I've
seen some videos and pictures, and it's made me a little bit jealous, but I struggle because I feel like it might be a price drop game for me.
Yeah, and I can see that because we're so close to the announcement of the date and price for PlayStation 5. Mm-hmm. It's gonna drop fairly fast, so I wouldn't jump on it. You know, and the other part of it too is like the story is just so linear. You know, it's not as invested as like The Last of Us 2, where spoilers would be a big thing. You know. So yeah, I would wait on this if you're on the fence about it. But man, those visuals,
I want to play it. I want to get it. I'm going to play it and going to get it. But it's just a question of when. You know, will there be a sale when it's like $40? I feel like maybe, I don't know.
That's probably a good price for it. But like every 10 minutes, there's a moment where you can just stop and just watch and just look at the background.
Oh, yeah, it looks amazing.
Oh man, I had to post a picture of it on Facebook. Like I rarely do that now, where I'll just post like a game, you know, or something like that. But man, it's just so pretty. And even better, there are foxes in the game. You can pet the fox.
If you can pet an animal in a game, you're really selling me.
There you go. Makes everything better.
Yeah, it does. It does. I completely agree with this.
Yeah. So I give Ghost of Tsushima 2 thumbs up. I said when I posted that picture on Facebook, and I still you're gonna go to the Bookie Awards or whatever the hell it is, and just like get a goodie bag, and inside it's gonna be like a PS5 and a puppy. Boom.
None of this is happening. We can dream. Hey, let's
That's right.
dream.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. So, yeah, I highly recommend Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
It's not 100% like, hey, get it right now, but for that price drop, keep your eye out.
Yeah. I'm keeping an eye out for. I weirdly want to revisit Grand Theft Auto again.
Oh, interesting.
I just have that like craving to revisit GTA. I don't know if I just want open world nonsense game like type of thing.
Yeah.
But I want it to be on because it's like $30, I think.
Oh,
Still.
it's cheap all over. Yeah, I mean, I would even say less than that. It goes on sale sporadically.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna wait for the next sale. Like, give me that at like 20. Like,
yeah. And I mean, even if you just if you know you're gonna play it for a solid month, I would almost recommend you just getting like Game Pass on Xbox and just playing it through there.
Yeah, I don't have an Xbox controller anymore.
Oh, that's right. I fucking forgot about that. Okay.
I actually own GTA on my Xbox, but it seems cheaper to me to just buy it again on the PS3. On the PS4. Even if I bought it at full price, it would be cheaper than getting a controller, and I would have it on the PS4, which is a better controller layout for a Rockstar game. Yeah. But yeah, I don't have controllers. That's an off-mic story.
I can attest to that because I tried playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, I'll just play because what our playing style is. Dee and I will play a game together, and then we have games that we play separately when the other is busy.
Mm-hmm.
So my other game was going to be a replay of Red Dead Redemption 2, and that Xbox controller, it's weird playing a Rockstar game with that. It doesn't work
for a Rockstar game. I don't know why. It just doesn't.
I know there are people who grew up playing Rockstar games on Xbox, and you guys are better than I am because I can't do it. I can't devote time to it on an Xbox. I don't know.